Me and Sidekick Sloth over here are going to make another dent in your worldview and your self-image. Because that's what this is all about. And you can either believe your lion eyes or the conventional wisdom about the heliocentric model. But our boy Daniel asked a good question when I pointed out that the moon goes over and spins 90 degrees, and so do the three kings, and that means the earth has to be wobbling 45 degrees this way and then back the other way, so that by the next night it comes up against the same way it did the night before, but goes down like this. And I explained my observation that it comes up to the middle of the sky and then drops down over here. That's why it looks like it's setting horizontally when it rose vertically, along with the three kings of Orion's belt. The fact that the moon and the stars do it means the earth, if we were to believe it's a spinning ball on an axis, the axis is tilting 45 degrees each day. Throughout the course of the night, it goes 45 degrees, and that's why it looks like it rises vertically and sets horizontally over here. It doesn't go straight back. That's what makes it look like it's setting horizontally and it rose vertically, because it goes up to the middle of the sky and then drops over to the side. Likewise with the three kings of Orion's belt. Daniel asked, why don't we see tidal waves then? If the Earth's axis is tipping back and forth 45 degrees every day in order to make this appearance in the sky that we can see with our own eyes, then there would be tidal waves. Great question. So are you going to go with what you can see with your own eyes? Or are you going to go with the diagram of the solar system that they told you about that doesn't match what you're seeing with your own eyes? Are you going to go with the tribe and what they all agree upon and believe in? Or are you going to go with what you can see with your own eyes? And that's what this is all about. The COVID, the mask. People that went along with the tribe or went along with the truth. Because most people, when it comes to make a decision, go with the tribe instead of the truth. Wherever they disagree, like the 9/11. Either the laws of physics or the official story of 9/11. Which do you believe? One or the other? Because both of them were given to you by the tribe. You didn't figure out the laws of physics. That's what the whole scientific community believes in. And the laws of physics differ greatly from the official story of 9/11, where those buildings fell at free fall speed because they got hit with a plane and turned to dust. Architects and engineers for 9/11 truth are scientifically challenging the official story of 9/11 with the consensus reality of science based around physics. And they say these laws of physics defy this official story of what happened on 9/11. It had to be something else. These planes didn't hit these buildings and watch them fall at free fall speed. The laws of physics would prevent that from happening. The floors below would have given some resistance to the floors above as they fell. Whatever happened, it removed all resistance instantly, and those buildings fell at free fall speed. Ergo, the official story cannot be true according to the laws of physics that the entire scientific community believes in. Those are two tribes, two groups. Which are you going to believe? And that's why I said people with the most amount of scriptural knowledge and the people with the most amount of college credentials are going to have the hardest time moving through the transition we're going through, the collective initiation Greg Braden spoke of. And Greg Braden spoke of the 7 sacred mirrors, where our relationships with other people serve as a reflective surface, like a mirror that reflects back to us part of ourself that desires a greater healing or a greater investigation, exploration, come to know yourself in that way, in that area. And what those 7 sacred mirrors means, if there's someone that you like or even love, but there's something about them you just can't stand and it rubs you the wrong way and it really, really bothers you and it bugs you to just... What they're showing you is something about yourself that you don't like. It's not something about them that you don't like, because if you otherwise enjoyed their company, but there's that one thing about them you just can't stand, like that they won't get the vaccine, those fucking stupid assholes. Don't they get it? They're super spreaders because they won't accept. Otherwise, we're great friends. And up until this one point of contention, we've been great. We've been sisters. We've been brothers. And this is how your family members, you'll be able to understand the dynamic of your relationships between the vaxxers and the anti-vaxxers as we go forward with understanding the second and the third mirror in the 7 sacred mirrors. When there's something about someone that just bugs the hell out of you, oftentimes they're showing you something about yourself that you don't like. They're showing you part of yourself that needs a greater healing, a greater exploration, a greater discovery. So the first of those 7 sacred mirrors is they're showing you exactly what you are in the moment. And if you can honestly say, no, that's not the case, then the second is that they're showing you that which you once were, but no longer are, so you hold a strong negative emotional charge against people who still are that way. And the third is the sacred mirror of the lost or missing love. That which you once had, but no longer have because you gave it away, had it taken from you, or you never had it to begin with. But it's that missing piece, that hole in your heart, that missing love of that which you once had, but you gave it away, or someone took it from you, or you lost it along the way, or you never had it to begin with. And the people who took the vaccine are looking at the people who don't take the vaccine and seeing part of themselves that they lost along the way, they had it taken from them, or they never had it to begin with. And it's in that area of, are you smart enough to see it and courageous enough to say it? And that's the real dividing line between the no's and the no-nots. Because all of those pro-vaxxers that are going to, as time goes on, it becomes more and more glaringly obvious that something's going on here besides a virus. And they have to come to accept this because they took the shot and at first they believed it, but they've still taken the shot, but now they're looking around them going, what the hell is really going on here? Something else I'm going to just throw in here right now and then it'll come back into the conversation later. When a cancer patient has cancer, sometimes you'll see the people around them shave their head also when that cancer patient has to go through chemo. The others around them will say, okay, we'll shave off, and their friends and family members will do this voluntarily to distribute the shame so you don't feel like you're the only one who's humiliated, degraded, and belittled. We'll all shave our heads too so you don't feel like you're the only one. We'll share your shame and spread it out amongst all of us so you don't feel like you're the only one that looks like a freak. In this way, those that are wearing the cone of shame, like in the movie Up, the Disney movie Up, where the dog had to wear the cone of shame, and he says, I do not like the cone of shame. The mask is the cone of shame. We've already established many times, many people have discovered this, there is a positive correlation between those that are taking the mask and going along with the mandates and their level of shame. Those that have a lower level of shame are less likely to go along with all of this. Those that have a higher level of shame are more likely to go along with all of this. And then they demand that you do it too. Like shaving your head also, so I don't feel like I'm the only one that's humiliated. You have to do it too. And if you won't voluntarily, they'll sneak up behind you and shave your head for you. Ha! Now I'm not the only one. But as time goes on, and they can't force you to take the vaccine, and they already did, and they've been trying to get you to do it the whole time, telling you what an idiot you are, trying to shame you and blame you and say, you're the reason, it's the unvaccinated, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. We'd all be able to go back to our regular lives already if it weren't for people like you. And they're trying to blame you and shame you and humiliate and degrade and belittle and condemn you. As time goes on and they realize, oh, there's something else going on here. Not only will they feel shame and humiliation for taking the vaccine, they'll feel it will be magnified and amplified because they tried to get you to go along with it. As they come to realize there's something else going on here, they're going to have a crisis of conscience. And the second and the third mirror of those 7 sacred mirrors are going to go a long way to helping you understand the dynamic of your relationship with those people around you, friends and family members, who decided to take the vaccine and tried to tell you the whole time you need to also. Pretty soon, eventually, they're going to realize, oh, I got had. And I tried to get you to take it too. So not only do I feel stupid for doing this and don't know what the effects are going to be on me, I tried to get you to go along with it too. And in fact, I insisted. And I voted to have the, like Mark Dice gets people on the street to sign these petitions to jail the unvaccinated, to forcefully hold them down and jack them. So, these mirrors, our relationships with one another, according to Greg Braden, his discussion of the 7 sacred mirrors, are like these temples that people used to go to find pieces of your character and isolate yourself within this temple. The temple of Hathor, the temple of Set, These different temples were dedicated to a part of the human psyche. Greg Braden said, you have that inner warrior. Do you know when it's appropriate to use? Those parts of your inner being, your character, people used to go to these temples to isolate themselves within this temple, to come to know themselves in that way. And Braden says, we no longer need those temples. We have our relationships with other people that serve as that temple and give us a reflection of ourselves, to let us know ourselves in that way. Are you smart enough to see it and courageous enough to say it? Well, then you're a truther. And all of those people that went along with it and tried to get you to go along with it too, none of them are going to say that, I just wasn't courageous enough. They're all going to say, I wasn't smart enough. I didn't know. Even though they knew, most of them are just not courageous enough to say it. Because when you come to that crossroads of the truth is this way and the tribe is that way, the groupthink, the consensus reality, the conventional wisdom of the majority of the population believe this, but I can clearly see with my own eyes, that's not the case. It's like this. Like when I can see with my own eyes that the moon's going over and turning 90 degrees, but we're not having tidal waves every night, do you still believe in the conventional wisdom of the heliocentric model of the world? Or are you going to discard that because you can see the truth with your own eyes? When it's time to take a vaccine and you try to get all your friends and family to go along with the tribe so we could just get back to normal life and do whatever we're told, the obedience, the submission, it's a complianceocracy. That's one reason they're going to go after the truckers. That is a culture, a petri dish of our culture that still has that renegade, rebel, free spirit that they're trying to snuff out. But these relationships with people, not just your personal relationships, we're talking a 5-second relationship with the person behind the counter at the gas station, can leave you with a feeling that I can't stand that person and what they just did or what they just said. Oftentimes, it's reflecting to you something about yourself. And coming to know yourself, there are 2 parts to you. And having a relationship with yourself is something most people don't know anything about. Like Esther Hicks says, when you have a disturbing feeling, that's a dissonance between you and you. It's about a relationship between you and you. You here and your higher self, if you want. Or God, or Source. There's 2 parts to you. And you have to come to get to know yourself, and breaking that ice is first part. There's a lot of parallels between the relationship that you develop, know thyself, and the whole universe will become known to you, something to that effect. Most people don't know themselves. They don't know that there's another part of themselves that they're unfamiliar with, they're unacquainted with. And coming to know yourself, that other half of you that you don't even know exists, is a bit of an awkward relationship, and it creates more intimidation than asking a girl to the dance for the first time in high school or asking her for her phone number. To break that ice and develop that relationship with yourself, there is that same fear of rejection and alienation. Maybe I won't even like myself. Maybe I'm not a good person. Maybe there's so much shame and humiliation about the things I've done. If I actually come to know myself and become acquainted with myself, you have to start that relationship by breaking the ice and admitting that there's a part of yourself that you're not even acquainted with. Most people won't even do that step and acknowledge, okay, I don't really know myself. There's part of me that I'm unfamiliar with, unacquainted with. So that's the first step. Most people haven't even done that. From that point, you grow and nurture that relationship with yourself to the point where you become more intimately familiar with yourself, that you're coming to know and going through the motions of maybe coming to like, and maybe eventually you'll come to even love yourself. But first you got to take that first step and give her a call. And most people haven't even done that. They go, what do you mean know yourself? Who knows me better than me? I know myself. If I don't know me, who does? And they won't acknowledge that there's a part of themselves that they are completely oblivious to. And that is the good wolf and the bad wolf. And if you don't know that part of yourself, that's where the bad spirits take over and pull your strings like a puppet from behind the curtain of your conscious and subconscious, because you don't even know that that other half of yourself exists. That's where spirits can get in, feelings, emotional, tulpas, memes, thought forms. Patterns of thought, feeling, and behavior sink into that part of yourself that you're unaware of. and make you run your whole life according to those underlying feelings that give you the motivation to do and think and say everything you do and think and say. It's all coming from that other half of yourself that you don't even know exists. In this way, our relationships with one another are helping us to know ourselves, like those 7 sacred mirrors. Our relationships with one another on a large-scale collective. This is the collective initiation Greg Braden spoke of, where you become acquainted with yourself, and you come to know yourself in a way that you never knew before. The first thing we're being shown that we thought we're not those freedom-loving, flag-waving, gun-toting, Bible-thumping, liberty-loving, rugged individualism is what this country's based on. John Wayne style rugged individualism. Yeah, right. You're being shown something about yourself that is much closer to the truth than what you would like to believe about yourselves collectively. As the freedom-loving, flag-waving, rugged individualism, liberty, we're the beacon of light and liberty, spreading freedom all around the world. We are coming to know that we are slaves bound to a collective. And that individual freedom to think for yourself, are you smart enough to see it and courageous enough to say it? A lot of people disengage their brain when they can clearly see the obviousness that there's more going on here than a disease. And they disengage their brain because they're not courageous enough to part ways with the tribe, the collective, and go and think for themselves and act accordingly. So, your friends and family members are going to come to this point where they are going to harbor all these feelings and then project them onto you as if you're the reason I feel the way I do, when it's actually that third of the sacred mirrors, their lost love of their own free will and their individualism and their ability to think for themselves and courage to speak that truth that they can see with their own eyes. This ain't a pandemic. This is a power grab. Anyone can see that. And this is a collective initiation that's happening worldwide. So the consequences of what this is all leading to are going to be global. And it's the introduction of your space brothers. You're getting broken free. And I've come to a new understanding of how I play a pretty good role in that. Because when I round up Dusty and Amber and my sister, got an incoming call, decline, please decline. That will go a long way to getting you to understand that you are on a plantation. The people that planted these microchips behind our ears, myself, my sister, Dusty Mott, M-O-T-T, that lives 4 or 5 blocks down the road from me. Amber Pruss, P-R-E-U-S-S, another incoming call. P-R-E-U-S-S, who lives in Shadywood Apartment Complex in Pleasant Grove. There's 4 of us, approximately the same age, all in our early 40s, that prove you're like cattle on a farm, and they've been tagging you for a long time. So when the opportunity comes to, come on baby, take a chance with us and meet me on the back of the blue bus, the option will be stay here on this prison bus that you're already on, or come with us. Well, maybe it's Operation Bluebeam, and the same people that planted that chip in your ear are the same people loading you onto those ships to get the fuck out of here, but they're actually taking you someplace worse. How can it be worse? You're already on a plantation. The same people that planted these microchips in our ears are the same ones that gave you that Bible. But they said to wait for the second set of gods. The first ones that show up are the Antichrist and the false prophet and the false Messiah. The same ones that gave you that Bible are the same ones that currently have you on a plantation. The proof is in the pudding. It hurts to set you free, but you'll never follow me. Because this is the end of our elaborate plans, my friend. Of all that stands. The end. Can you picture what will be so limitless and free, desperately in need of some stranger's hand in a desperate land? those musicians who made those movies and songs like Total Recall, Vanilla Sky, I'll include a link in the description from Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise. It's much like Total Recall, Vanilla Sky, The Matrix, The Truman Show, Groundhog's Day. These are all messages for those who eventually connect with that other half of themselves, like heart-brain resonance, or left brain, right brain, but it's more like heart-brain resonance. Connecting with the other half of yourself requires you to get in touch with that emotional part of yourself. It's about like the Truman Show. There's a lot of people here who are Trumans, like you and me. We're coming to realize the world we live in is an artificial construct. And the people backstage who come out on the set and interact with Truman on the Truman Show, and then they go backstage and they know what the real deal is about this artificial construct of a world that Truman thinks he lives in. The people that go backstage and know the real deal and then come out and interact with you, hey Truman, how's it going? Put these songs and these movies into our world for this time in order that we will be able to process through this initiation. And through an initiation, you get broken down. The dark night of the soul is one thing that Greg Braden speaks of, where your soul gets so crushed, it doesn't even make it through the process. It gets squashed. And you have to develop a new self-image and worldview because your old self-image and worldview got shattered. Finding a microchip in your head goes a long way towards shattering that self-image and worldview, especially when you've been a truther for your whole life, reading David Icke talking about how the New World's Order, their dream is a microchipped population. And then you come to find out you're already microchipped. And it was your family that did it. And they suddenly abandon you when you find your implant. That shatters your self-image and your worldview so thoroughly that you have to build it up again. Break me down, build me back up, I'll do whatever it takes. You break me down, you build me up, believer. There's always lightning before the thunder. That music video is showing you the arrival of the aliens. Not a yes sir, not a follower. Fit the mold, fit the box, take a seat in the foyer. Take a number, the mark of the beast. The dividing line is between those who are yes sir and follower and those who are not. Those who go with the group and those who retain their individual spirit, their free-spirited individualism. That's why this is worldwide. The plasma fires, the mask, this is all conditioning to lead you up to the point where you have an option, an opportunity to make a decision, to free you from the groupthink and the witch hunt in order that you will be able to think for yourself and break free from that collectivism. Like 9/11. You believe in the laws of physics or the official story of 9/11? Because you cannot believe both. That's called double thinking. When you believe in two contradictory ideas and believe them both to be true at the same time, you abandon your cockpit. You take the controls and you say, here, you take over. You take the sail and the rudder and you say, not me, no thanks. I'm the one at the sail, I'm the master of my sea, oh, woo. First things first, I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been, oh. Second things second, don't you tell me what you think that I should be. I'm the one at the sail, I'm the master of my sea. The official story of 9/11, the laws of physics, or do you believe both? And completely abandon your own free will and ability to think for yourself, along with the courage. Are you smart enough to see it and courageous enough to say it? If you retain those two things, you don't believe in both the laws of physics and the official version of 9/11. You can't engage in that doublethink if you retain your ability to be smart enough to see it and courageous enough to say it. And you end up with people like Stephen Hatfield, professor at BYU, who got dismissed for holding a piece of the towers on his desk with thermite in it and saying, this story don't jive. It don't take no fucking professor to see that this story don't jive. That's why they put it right in front of our face. Anyone with a brain and a heart like the Wizard of Oz? Anyone with a brain and a heart can see it and say it. Most people lose the heart to say it, and so then they disconnect their brain and truly can't even see it anymore. Because they know if they say it, they'll be alienated by the tribe, the group. And so they come to this crossroads. Do I abandon the group and go with the truth? Or do I abandon the truth and go with the group? People with the most biblical indoctrination and the most credentials in college and those institutions of higher education that tell you about the heliocentric model that one guy has dislodged. That's been my job, is to dislodge you from your preconceived ideas and the group that you're so attached to. From the plasma fires, to the sun tunnel, to the moon on its back and the three kings, to the floating black dot craft in Pleasant Grove and in MB3's videos and in Joe Imbriano's videos. You watch the last week of MB3 and you tell me there's not an alien invasion going on. The best thing that you could even come up with to counter that narrative is say, well, it's just Space Force. Space Force is an unknown entity. That is a word that got injected into your mind a couple years ago. Just like Project Bluebeam. See, Jesus was not of this world, but good Christians will tell you, there's no such thing as aliens. No, there's no aliens. But Jesus was not of this world. Yeah, but that's different. Project Bluebeam was put into your mind so that when you have the option to meet us on the back of the blue bus, you'll say, oh no, I'm not falling for that. That's the government creating the illusion that we're getting freed from the plantation that we live on. And those they're actually here to enslave us, not to free us from the plantation we're already on. I'm here to prove to you you're already on the plantation, so your option is stay on the prison bus you're on, which is proven by myself, Amber Proust, Dusty Mott, and my sister. And there are others. Many, many more others. So you can roll the dice and say, driver, where you taking us? Or don't even ask. Just get your ass on board and say, wherever we're going, it's fine with me. Because I've come to the understanding that we're on a plantation here. We're being kept in the dark. We're being brainwashed and manipulated through our emotions, emotional mind control, and I have been freed. The truth will set you free. But the tribe, the truth will set you free individually. The collective will enslave you collectively. That's the title of one of my videos. The truth will set you free individually. The tribe will enslave you collectively. Something like that. You can come to the point where you can see with your own eyes the plasma fires all around that you're not hearing anything about on the news. The moon rising like this and setting either like this or like this. Every single night it turns 90 degrees. Sometimes it'll rise like this and set like that, along with the three kings of Orion's belt, which means the earth is going like this every night, which means we would see tidal waves if their whole heliocentric model held. So you can believe your lying eyes, or you can believe the diagram in the book of the scientists and the authorities on those subject matters, or you can be the author of your own authority and come with us, because where we're going, we don't need no authorities to tell us about the world. We've had enough personal first-hand experience. And that's why someone like me doesn't suffer fools anymore. I don't like to engage in conversations where people think that their opinions are just as valid. And they want to engage in a conversation where it's an equal input. I say something, they say something. I say something, they say something. And they want equal input into this conversation when they have absolutely nothing to contribute to this conversation. Anything they contribute is from opinions, guesses, or regurgitation of research, where they research the path that's been researched, that's been researched, that's been researched, that's been researched, that's been researched by everyone that came before them. They're just repeating what their parents told them, and their parents are just repeating what their teachers told them, and their teachers were just repeating what their parents and their teachers told them. That's what research will get you. When you've been down the path that I'm on, that I've been on, You cannot know the things I know in the way that I do. And knowing is just thinking and believing with a feeling of certainty about what you think and believe. Once you have a strong enough level of certainty about it, a feeling of certainty, you say, I know this thing to be true. You cannot know what I know until you've been through the experiences that I've been through. A personal individual initiation into a whole new world. It's like going backstage on the Truman Show and seeing what's really going on and then having to come back out on set and interact with Trumans that think they know something. No one gets on board thinking they know something. I've said that a bunch of times. You're going to have the opportunity. My life and the series and the sequence of events will have consequences. Consequence means it goes along with. Con, like chili con carne, is chili with meat. Consequence. There will be a consequence to believing me, and there will be a consequence to not believing me. And it's not just black and white. It's to a varying degree at this point, but there will come a point where it'll be black and white. You'll have a decision to make. And you can go with the group that's been keeping you in the dark, keeping you on this prison plantation, not telling you about plasma fires, not showing you that the moon every night turns 90 degrees, not showing you the black dot craft that are floating in the sky above Pleasant Grove, not showing you the airborne aircraft carrier that I pulled out of a Santilli telescope from KC Kid 913. All of these things that I have lived through and shared with you were for the purposes of dislodging us from our self-image and worldview, putting us through that dark night of the soul. How has one guy put such a dent in your self-image and worldview to the point where you now question reality? To the degree that you do, there are some of you that will be coming with. And we will all be given an option. That's why this whole COVID thing is a worldwide program, because the decision that we're all going to get here real soon, the choices that we're going to have, the opportunities that we will have, is an opportunity to demonstrate your level of mastery. Not a pass or fail test, but an opportunity to demonstrate your level of mastery. In those areas of knowing yourself, we are all coming to know ourselves in a new way, collectively and individually, through our relationships with one another. As you get mask shamed, as you get someone telling you it's mandatory, are you going to go with the group? Are you going to go with the authority? Are you going to be the author of your own authority? Use your own eyes, the freedom and the free will that God gifted you with, not to hand over to someone else for the convenience of being able to go to the store and go back to the convenience of your daily life. We're all in a scenario. Our cage is being rattled, just like mine was, to get you to let go of that life you felt so certain and secure about. Like an older couple that suddenly just lost their entire life savings, their pension, and all of their income that they planned on living out their remaining years. Suddenly, the future is no longer as certain as they thought it was. All of us are having that rug jerked out from under us. Because the society, the economic engine and the foundation of our society that we were so relying upon for our future to be secure, all we had to have was enough money, that is an illusion. That feeling of security that money gave you, or the means to make the money that you have, a degree, a credential, a CDL driver's license that gives me job security and financial security, gone. Because you need to be ready to let go of that world you thought was so secure and have the freedom to live in the moment and know that this life is fleeting. And this will allow you to truly live, like in the movie In Time, where he said, you guys have stopped living because you're so worried about your future. You've basically got eternal life on your time, but you've stopped living. Where I come from, we don't stop living till we're actually dead. And we live day by day. And he was referring to a poverty-stricken region where these other people live till 25 and die. It's a movie. I'm getting off topic because this video is coming to an end. So I'll start over on the next video where this one leaves off. But just to wrap it up, myself, my sister, Amber Pruce, and Dusty Mott, and many others will be able to show you your option. Project Bluebeam my ass. You're already on the slave plantation. From the Bible to those credentials you got in college, they're all lies for the purposes of mind control And that idea of Project Bluebeam was put in your head to cause uncertainty and skepticism when it happens. Just like the Bible said, when they come to free you, that's the Antichrist. The Truther Bible says, when they come to free you, that's Project Bluebeam. Don't believe it. Are you going to believe your lying eyes? Are you going to go with a group? That'll be the choice. That'll be the dividing line. Those that retain their free will, their individual spirit to think, and that are smart enough to see it and courageous enough to say it. And it doesn't take a genius. Starting with 9/11. How smart do you have to be to see that that isn't what they said it was? Likewise with COVID, it doesn't take a genius. It takes someone who's retained their spirit of free will. That's the third mirror. The vaccinated can't stand about you, but otherwise they like you, they get along. That's the one thing, the lost love. They used to have that free spirit, or they lost it along the way, had it taken from them, or they gave it away, or maybe they're like NPCs that never had it to begin with. But that third one of those 7 sacred mirrors is what they can't stand about you in their relationship with you, and it's reflecting back to them something about themselves that they can't stand. The second of those sacred mirrors also stands true here. Something that you once were. They were once a free-spirited individual, but no longer are, so they hold a strong negative emotional charge towards those who still are that way.